Welcome to another edition of White Light Broadcasting. This is the second part of our episode on Crystal and Indigo children. We did this episode in response to a question from TARDIS Tales. Thank you for your question. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about one of my specialties, which is Crystal and Indigo children, or what I call spiritually gifted children. One of the niches that I kind of have for my professional work is to work with people that are spiritually gifted. I went through a tough time being spiritually gifted myself and never really having anybody to help me or guide me, or a teacher, if you will, through all these things. So I kind of muddled through, not good, not as well as I could at times. And but this all helped me to become very aware of the unique challenges that spiritually gifted people and especially children face. And so we have, I have developed many methods to help these kind of families or children or adults, and ways to kind of help them deal with it and work better with it. So one thing that we hear, so a spiritually gifted person is somebody who, for one, they're probably very empathic. A person who's spiritually gifted will just feel what other people are feeling. They will know when somebody's upset, even if that person hasn't said it. They will know when somebody angry is coming to the door before they even knock at the door. They can feel it. They may have a lot of difficulty being in crowded places where there's lots of emotions, if you will, flying around, like malls, things like that. They don't like being in stressful situations. They often withdraw because they're very sensitive to the stress of others. They may have trouble sleeping. And then the more obvious things, like they may have difficulty, the more obvious things are they may see spirits, they may sense people around them, they may have memories about past lives. They are just very connected, if you will, and they can have really obvious gifts as well, like they're a medium or they're very psychically gifted. But all these things together kind of are spiritually gifted. Now, as we said in the last episode, there are kind of two categories, and I like to call it like the lovers and the fighters. That the crystals I think of as more of the lovers. They're not fighters. They tend to really withdraw. And if they're pushed, they're just so sensitive. They, as a parent of a gifted crystal child, you may find that they're just not dealing with it well. They may not want to talk about it. And they may be really, really sensitive to like being picked on at school or something like that. They just tend to withdraw because they're not fighters. Indigo children are a little bit easier in that regard because they don't withdraw as much. They're tougher. So they're kind of like, I'm here, I'm gifted, who cares? They're tougher. They're not as worried about what people think of them as the crystal children. But all of them face unique challenges. And one of the most unique challenges is sleeping. A lot of them are very sensitive to any kind of spiritual activity in their bedroom. So the best thing to do is create a clear space for them. Smudging helps. Putting salt in the four corners of the room in like a little glass jar. I prefer sea salt or Himalayan salt. Kind of helps pull the energy from the room. You can burn Palo Santo, which doesn't have a strong odor, before they go to bed. If they're waking up from their very vivid dreams, and be aware that they might be astral projecting in their sleep. That is, when they're dreaming, they are literally traveling. And so they might become very fearful of falling asleep because of their dreams. Some bloodstone and a cup of water next to the bed can often help with that. Putting crystals between the mattress and the box springs can also kind of help keep their bed a nice, safe space. Quartz and amethyst are very good for protection. So those are some ways to help them sleep. Another thing I like to do with children in particular, but this also works great for empathic adults, is with kids, I like to try to figure out who's their favorite superhero, or do they like Star Wars or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll explain to them, think of yourself as, one of the Star Wars spaceships. And when they're about to get into a fight, they put their shields up. Now you can't see the shields, but they're there. And then they kind of bounce everything back. So when you're at school or you're out in the world and you're getting, they're feeling overwhelmed by the feelings of others, imagine, just putting your shields up and picture those shields all around yourself like a giant egg or something like that. And I'll vary this a little bit for the individual person or child based on kind of what they think or they like. But that's another way to do it. Put your shields up. And then once we go through that as a meditation a few times, I tell the kid, from now on, when you think shields up, your shields will go up. That's all you have to do, shields up. So when they're at school or, out in the mall, and they're about to have a meltdown because there's too much emotion and stuff going on around them, shields up, and then they feel better. And what they're really doing is putting a shield around the edge of their aura so that they can protect themselves from those feelings. Another thing I always tell people too, especially if they're older, as teenagers or adults, is if you're around somebody and you're feeling like you're really getting drained, and a lot of empathic, spiritually gifted people are susceptible to what we call energy vampires. I tell them, just imagine when you're all done, break the connection. Just imagine yourself, break the connection. Now they're separate, you're separate, they go their way, you go your way. Spiritually gifted people are here to heal. So it's okay. That's your job, is to heal. That's your destiny. Doesn't matter what your actual job is, but if you're here to heal, it's okay that people come to you for help. It's okay that you attract energy vampires, but you got to know how to deal with them. So you're there, you're present, you listen, and when it's all over, cut, and then shields up. So that's a few ways to help your children. And I want to thank you for joining me. If you have any other questions or comments, I'm also happy to correspond with you over email, tamara@joy-of-being.net. Also, I can do appointments in person or over the phone, and to help you deal with your own things or to help you deal with your child. And I want to thank you for joining us. Comments are welcome below. Don't forget to share and like our video, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you. Peace and blessings.